we live? Yes. Hey, everybody. We are officially live. Welcome to Nom Talk Live. Because,
Yay!
here on Nom Talk Network. So that makes more sense for
Woo!
people. I am your host, Stephanie. I am the person that likes to talk about food and the person who likes friends because friends are awesome. And I already see we have a friend in the chat. Hi, Q.
Hello!
Yay! Tonight is a very
Greetings.
fun night. It is going to be full of knowledge. It's going to be full of shenanigans and fail stories because we love fail stories. They're so funny.
Oh, I have so many of those.
But we learn from our mistakes, and we would like to make sure that you learn from our mistakes as well. And vice versa. If you have some stories, we want to hear your stories. But moving on, we're going to introduce our guests. Yay, yay, yay. And you've all seen them before from previous shows, maybe a fan's cooking fiction or basic brunches or another Nom Talk Live. But let's go ahead and say hi to our friends. To my right, we have Rachel, and Rachel is a singer, an actor, writer, home ec hobbyist. She's the playwright of an off-Broadway production called Blood on My Mother's Apron, a true crime theater show. Yes. It is. Oh my gosh. Okay, so it's going to be available to watch in New
You're
York
right
in
on there.
September. I was up there until I was confident.
But yeah, no. Yeah.
And then below is Raven, aka Dame Red Bento. Raven
Hello.
is a fashion designer. That's how I met Raven. You are also an artiste. You are a painter of watercolor painting, guys. That is super fun and they're super cute. Also a cooking influencer and I want to say an ecosystem person.
I am an aquarist or aquarium hobbyist, and I am studying and working on making basically integrated technology and nature, so that I've got closed ecosystems. I DIY'd a CO2 infuser with sourdough, and actually, you will get to see some of that bread.
Wow.
And you may also recognize her from X is for Podcast, an X-Men podcast containing a diverse group of queer, BIPOC nerds talking about inclusivity, about, in regards to the comics, in regards to maybe the films in some occasions, but, it's all about being inclusive.
Intersectional inclusivity of diverse fandoms. So yeah, I do diversity in fandom, X's for podcast, Nom Talks. I love talking. If you didn't, I love doing all kinds of things. What can I say?
And that's okay. And last but not least, below we have Jordyn. Jordyn is a higher education advisor. That sounds so fancy.
Yes, ma'am.
Basically,
It's a little fancy.
so you help people figure out what they want to do with life.
Yeah, so I work at a community college where I advise students in student government, different committees. I also help them figure out life goals, just things, figuring out where to go to college, what choices that they make, stuff like that. And we get them in contact with resources that help them just sort of achieve those higher educational goals.
Nice.
Yay!
It's great. It's fun.
Yay! But that's only a day job.
Yeah.
At night or on weekends, you're a gaming nerd and you cook and you may recognize him even from Fans Cooking Fiction, the Lord of the Rings video about lambas bread.
That was such a fun thing to make, and it was so embarrassing because it was like the first time I did something, but it turned out great. I bought elf ears. I have them permanently, so I'm so excited.
Okay, I was just looking at your ears and I'm like, that don't look permanent.
No, right. No, I mean, I can put them on and they're permanent while they're on, so they're temporary permanent. Yeah.
Semi-permanent?
Yeah. And okay, hold on. There we
Give her
go.
a
I'm
moment.
alive.
There we go.
Yeah.
I'm alive, I swear.
I'm like, give it a moment.
But heads up, this Tuesday for the new fans cooking fiction, you might even see him again. You know, making a really delicious dish inspired by a very popular video game series and a film.
Resident
Sorry,
Evil.
I wrote wink face to remember, like wink face, like the one thing I can't do.
Yes, this one was really awesome to make. I hope you all enjoy it if you watch it, or when you watch it, I should say. But this was really, really fun to make, so I'm really excited.
Yes, so that'll be viewable at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on our YouTube channel. Right. But anyways, all right, let's get down to the deets. What are you eating? Rachel. Rachel, what are
Okay.
you eating?
So, similar to when I was on Basic Brunches as the resident East Coaster, who's lame and is never eating at the appropriate time for these, I earlier made some scallop scampi instead of shrimp. You can really do scampi with any small seafood that you wish to do. I love me some scallops, and I happen to be by a fish market that gets some really good fresh ones. So I just love to do that. Whereas like the shrimp is frozen, you always want to kind of do it with fresh. But it was super exciting. I made my own linguine noodles. Which, like, if you want to make your own pasta, it's actually not that scary. You just need to have time, and ideally a noodle roller, because otherwise you're just sad with a knife for 50 years. Just real, you're just there forever. But it's super easy, and you can freeze the dough and then just thaw it whenever you want to make more noodles. It's awesome. So I did that, and then I did a homemade white wine lemon butter sauce with an heirloom tomato that I cut up and kind of infused. And then my basil is finally ready for harvesting. So I harvested some of my homegrown basil and put that in, and it was awesome. And right now I'm eating ice cream, which is not very exciting, but it's with a homemade whipped cream, and then also with a raspberry coulis, because I've discovered that coulis is the best thing that's ever happened, and you can do it with any fruit. Any fruit! It's great. 10 out of 10.
That sounds so good.
But in Rachel's defense, she is in New York, which is 3 hours ahead of what we are.
I don't want to eat dinner at 10.
Thank
I'm a
you.
grandma.
So thank you for being
showing
on the show.
up. We know it's past your bedtime.
Hopefully we don't go too past the time so that you can get some rest, because that's pretty intense. Jordyn, tell us what you are having today.
Well, today I made a weeknight chicken marsala. To be fair, I wasn't as fancy as Rachel, so I used my Instapot, which has become my new best friend throughout this entire pandemic, okay? If I'm not feeling up to cooking a full-blown meal, I'll use the Instapot. So basically what is in this, traditional egg noodles, you can buy these at the market, or if you're fancy, I have a farmer's market that's two blocks up for me, that is on Thursday nights. And so I picked up some noodles and just cooked them. They are made by this wonderful local Italian place that like hand rolls them, does all that stuff. And Rachel is right. It's really easy to make your own pasta. It's so easy. It's literally just like eggs, flour, and water. That's all it is. And it's just really amazing to do that. Anyway, so it's egg noodles. There's some mushroom, garlic, onions in here, and then there's chicken thighs. And then the best part, obviously, is the marsala wine, which you can get at the store. If you want to be fancy, you can go to a really nice like Whole Foods or something to get like a sweet marsala wine. You put that in there with the sauce, and then there's a little bit of whipping cream and chicken broth. And you just do all that in the Instapot. It takes maybe 45 minutes versus taking like a couple hours to make chicken marsala. But it comes out great, and it gives you, I would say, at least it's really good. So and it comes out really tender. So that's what I'm eating. Oh, so it gives you just the right amount to make like 2 or 3 servings. So you can eat it for lunch, you can eat it for dinner. But I tend to double the sauce recipe so that way it can. I don't know. I just like a lot of sauce and I like a lot of wine. So yeah, that's what I do.
That's okay.
That's
It
what I mean.
sounds it sounds delicious. Damn it, Jordyn, get over here and feed me. But I may have said that too early. Raven, tell us what you made today.
Okay, so today, even though I've already blown through a good portion of it, there we go. Yeah. So I did roasted corn. I did egg over easy because I need lots of protein. I did like this really nice like red spiced rice with gochujang. So it's a little cross between Spanish, a little cross between Chinese when I did my herbs and spices and whatnot.
Yeah, gochujang is so
And-
fucking good.
Oh,
It's in everything my mom makes.
if you want just a little bit of spicy in your food, and I'm talking like base level spicy, anybody can actually handle it. Gochujang paste is like my go-to because it gives it a good flavor without like blowing your head off. And I'm a wuss when it comes to most spicy dishes, but I'm like, oh, it tastes so good. Just that little kick. So good. And slow cooked pork shank. So yeah, just I put it in with the rice so that the marrow could kind of like infuse into the rice with everything else going on. And this is so perfect because it's so soft that you can just basically take it off the bone, throw it in with some like really nice veg that you've cut up, and do like a stir fry the next day with it. Easy peasy. So
Yay.
no, I like to make food that I can reinvent every day.
And you also sent me a picture of, of a thing that you made in regards to the topic, and we will discuss that later on. We'll talk
Yes.
about why you made it later on, but tell us what you made.
Okay, so what I made that you will be seeing later on is sourdough bread made from my DIY CO2 infuser that I use for my fish tanks, which I basically did sourdough starter in one jug, ran a line through it into another jug to clean it, and then it comes out as fresh CO2 that I can put into my fish tanks. And it helps the plants to grow because I didn't bioload my tanks so that there's a lot of fish. So it needs the extra CO2 in order to function correctly and be able to do what it's supposed to do and keep the tanks balanced. And so since every day I have to feed it, I get more and more starter. And all I have to do is take out some of the starter, put it in the fridge for a couple of days so it gets really nice and sour, and then I can cook with it.
That's amazing.
That's what?
Sorcery.
Yes.
That is amazing.
So good.
I love doing this kind of thing. Like I had a problem. I went, I bet I could fix this. The first time I tried it, I was like, I tried the recipe that they give online for just doing a CO2 infuser using yeast and sugar water for your fish tanks. I'm like, this is okay, but it wasn't super stable. And you couldn't really tell if it was still producing or not producing or what was going wrong. So I was like, okay, I need a better visual cue and I need something that I can actually not waste at the end of the day. So sourdough, because I know a thing or two about baking and I suck at doing bread. I suck so hard at doing bread. Like most of the time it just comes out like a brick. You know, if you were going on a long journey overseas back in the 1700s, please take my bread with you because I'm pretty sure it would last you the journey. It's so dense, so dense. So
that's what lembas bread was
Like
themed
lembas.
after. That's what lembas bread was made after.
Yeah. I'm like, it wasn't like hardtack, but it was like if a paperweight could be slightly soft and edible. If you had a hearty stew, like, yeah, perfect sop. But other than that, you just use it to weigh down small children or papers from blowing away. It's so dense. So dense. But that's why I was like, I need a way that I can continually need to make bread so that I can get better at it. And this became a way that I could do it. So that's the picture you're going to show is actually my first loaf of sourdough bread. And so far I've actually gotten really good reviews on the taste. I just need to work on the technique of kneading, and other than that, I'm yay. I am that dork.
And then I keep forgetting to unmute myself. So they can hear me. Sometimes you cannot. I'm sorry. That's my bad. I can't wait to have somebody producing this for me. Anyways, before I show what I ate, I'm going to check out the comments. Q said, I ate 2 small fried pork chops. They were so good. And it's 9, well, I'm sure it's 9:20 there now. But wow.
That's
So
awesome.
good. I'm sorry.
I
You guys
love
just
pork
like
chops.
stared out and I was like, oh no, was the internet cut?
Oh, we were like,
No, we were.
oh wow.
Love a good
It
pork
cut
chop.
that time. Jesus Christ. Okay, anyways. Pork chops sound flippin' amazing, Q.
Yeah.
What I made is technically not made from me, but I forgot to buy groceries. My mom made some good Korean ribs.
Mm.
And I
Oh.
had some leftovers. And, you know, usually with Korean ribs, you put them on the barbecue. Or you, like,
With that accent.
cast iron. Yeah,
I'm sorry, I can hear your mother doing that. I'm just like,
No. She's Korean. She doesn't sound like that. But no, usually you put it on a cast iron or you put it on the grill or something. Look, I can't cook meat on a pan. Period. So I throw it all in the oven. And that's what I did. I threw these in the oven, and I also made some asparagus that I ate all of at once. So you don't see the
There's
asparagus.
nothing wrong with that. You look so ashamed.
Okay, like the one
that's
thing
not
that I'm
shame. That is champion.
Yeah, asparagus is amazing.
It's amazingly stinky in your pee-pee.
Well, try
I digress.
drinking some pineapple. Balance that out. I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Just
But yeah, so I got some corn. I cooked some corn. I have some green onions from the last time I made something for Fans Cooking Fiction. I don't remember when, but I watered them and they're still good. So I'm like, it works. Chop, chop, chop. That's why there's some color. But there's the beef, there's the corn, there's the rice, and there's the green onion, and there's my meal. So
That just sounds delicious.
okay.
yeah, I want ribs. I want that.
It's been so long since I made like Korean barbecue food, anything, and it's always so good. And I found out it's because of the sugar. So, anyways,
The sugar, the salt, a little bit of that like sweet cooking liquid.
yeah, sometimes there's rice vinegar, sometimes there's fish sauce, but it's mostly like sesame oil, soy sauce, brown sugar, sometimes white sugar, lots of garlic.
Yum.
And you have to make sure you can marinate it for at least, personally, I say just marinate it overnight, at least 6 to 8 hours.
Mhm.
And then it's good.
Oh.
But I want to start
Always
eating.
marinate overnight. Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
because otherwise you're
Mhm.
just sitting there waiting for it to be done.
Yeah.
So, like, why? Just do it overnight.
Just like staring at it, waiting for you to be like,
Slather,
okay.
get in there, make sure you pour some on the inside, like get all the nooks and crevices.
All the things.
Yeah. But the reason why I picked the topic of culinary growth is because during the pandemic, a lot of us are forced to stay indoors and cook from home instead of eating out, which saved my credit and my bank account. And, you know, at the beginning of the pandemic, you may not know what you're doing. So there are a lot of fail stories, which you've heard from me since the beginning. But I wanted to know, what was your cooking comfort zone when the pandemic first started? Like, I made ramen and I made mac and cheese, and I didn't do much beyond that. So there's my thing. Now I can eat. But tell us your before story. And during the before 4 times, what was the limit for yourself? And I would like to start with Jordyn.
Oh wow. Okay. So my cooking story never existed pre-COVID. I hated cooking. I absolutely despised it, and the reason is because I'm kind of a perfectionist in a way where it's like if I try something once and fail, I just hate it and I do not want to do it again. And so and you know, my mom is a great, you know, she's a good cook. She's absolutely fabulous. She bakes, she does all that stuff. And she just kept telling me, you just have to try again. Like if you're gonna fail, things are gonna happen, right? So once we went into quarantine, I just, you know, after those first couple of months where you're like, oh, okay, Zooms and then friends and FaceTimes, and then you're like, I'm depressed. I can't see anybody. I don't know what to do. Once I got out of that rut, I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna start cooking. And so basically, my journey started, I would say, probably like in May or June of last year. You know, it's a year anniversary of my cooking journey. And I think I started simple with Instapot, right? I started doing Instapot recipes where it was like, it wasn't like, it's, you have to try to fail an Instapot recipe. Like you have to try really hard, unless you know, don't get the right measurements or all of that. And so, long story short, I branched out and I started cooking things on the stove. Um, I will, if we go into fail stories, I'll do that later because there's a extremely hilarious fail story about me cooking a beef stroganoff recipe on the stove. It is, I was so embarrassed. And anyway, and then so now I'm comfortable cooking. I don't mind messing up. I do not mind, you know, just seeing where it goes and how it starts. And so for me, I think I basically go in the kitchen. We have a sliding door. I close it. I bring my little, you know, speaker in there. It like glows and like does all, you know, the stuff. And then I'll pour a glass of wine, have a drink while I cook. And that literally has zenned me out this entire quarantine. It's just cooking for me is a comfort. It's a place to do things that you have some minor control over in this time right now, right? And I think I found that in the kitchen. And so now I think I have a really big appreciation for cooking. So that's just, you know, where I'm at.
Hmm. Nice.
Yeah, I know it's like
Beautiful.
great. Yeah. But it's great. So
Oh, that's amazing. I like that. I like that. I feel like we kind of share that sort of thing where it's like it helped us on a mental level, it helped us grow as people. And yeah. Thank you for that. That's very nice.
yeah.
It's very
No
nice.
problem. Yeah, it was, yeah, I definitely, it was a moment where it was like, I think I did cry. Like I think it was like the second or third time I cooked in
Oh,
there, and I was
shut
like,
the fuck up.
I just feel so good in here. And then from then on, it was just like, okay, this is great. So
They're so nice. Yeah, I would cry if I did something right. But it's not about me. Um, Raven, tell us a little bit about your culinary journey.
Well, for like a year or so prior to this whole thing, I mean, I've always been able to sort of cook, you know, enough for survival. It all works. But yeah, found out that I had some gastrointestinal issues that were driven by gluten. So had to learn how to kind of cook around that. Now I still ate gluten from time to time, especially in these last 2 months, ate gluten and thought, okay, fine, my system is finally backed off. It's going to allow me back on gluten. And then it started stabbing me because I had a Cinnabon. And I was like, okay, we're not doing that anymore. So, I mean, I could cook pretty easily for survival. I made some pretty nice looking stuff, but I still had certain Achilles heels, and bread is one of them. So yeah, when the pandemic started, like, oh my god, this is my chance. I can start doing sourdough breads. I can do this. Oh, holy hell no, I could not. Like, my starter was just wrong. Like, it smelled okay and everything, and it had the right color, but like, just there was no flavor to it, and I didn't know what I was doing wrong. And then I was always afraid of over mixing my bread. Apparently, you need to go like 10 rounds like Mike Tyson on bread. And then, it's like, oh my God, my bread was so dense. Like a loaf of it, like if you left it out for 3 days, you had the perfect doorstop / way to kill an intruder who broke into your house. Like, it was bad. It was really bad. So I finally got into like doing aquarium hobbies and whatnot, and I needed a CO2 infuser. I wanted to do a DIY style of the infuser first. So I figured out if that was like my game, if I like the CO2 infusion thing, then I can get like a real setup, which is very expensive. And my first go around didn't work out so well, but my next go around, I was like, wait, why didn't I try doing it like sourdough starter again and just use the CO2 that a sourdough starter would normally put off and put it in my tanks? And it worked out beautifully. And I finally decided after a couple weeks, okay, well, let me try some of this starter as bread. And I made my attempt, and it came out a lot better. Like so much better. I still need to refine my technique and everything, but not only was the flavor better, the structure of it was better, and like it pushed me outside my comfort zone, because normally I like things that I can, okay, either I can set it and forget it, like the Instapot. I love Instapots. Those are so beautiful. Any slow cooker is a gorgeous thing. Or something that I can do in like 30 minutes or less. So it's quick. I've got, all I have to do is chop, dice, throw it in, and I can control that. Bread is something I can't control. So it puts me outside my comfort zone, because, you got to stretch, you got to knead it, and then you just got to leave it alone for a couple hours and just don't touch it. Just don't do anything with it. And with sourdough, that can be 12 hours. That can be 24 hours. Like, there's so many different ways it can go right or wrong. But luckily, this pushes me outside the comfort zone, and I've gotten a lot better. So, yay.
Yay! Yeah, I was like,
That's awesome.
10 rounds of
Super
what?
awesome.
Yeah, oh man, there's so much kneading. Luckily, like there are a lot of like stand mixers, KitchenAid. They come with a dough hook, so there are ways to do it that don't require hand kneading. I just wanted to hand knead it for my own edification, so I know what it's supposed to feel and look like. I'm almost there. Almost.
I mean, that's smart though. Like, otherwise, how are you supposed to know what the texture's supposed to be if you had just a standing thingy
Exactly.
thing?
I like to know how things work.
Yes.
That just made me realize my mom has a KitchenAid, and I kneaded the lambas bread for 20 minutes in my kitchen.
No,
You really
wrong.
did.
And I'm like, you
No.
just made me realize that. So now I'm kind of irritated at myself, because she has all the attachments and everything. And I'm like, I could have just did that. What is wrong with me?
You just don't hook that shit.
Oh man. And the dough hook, usually you only need about 5 minutes with the dough hook. It's 2 minutes, let it rest for about 10, 2 minutes, let it rest for about 10. And you're just looking for that right kind of elasticity.
He's so mad.
Well,
Yeah.
my second fail, my like 8th cook fail of the pandemic is not using the bread hook.
Oh man. Yeah. I've got to use the bread hook this next time around, but yeah, it's like, yeah, I could have used a dough hook. Do we have a dough hook? And she's like, yeah, we've got a dough hook, honey. Like, my partners are both looking at me like, I love you. You make delicious things, but really? You didn't even look for the dough hook, did you? No. Thought I could do it by hand.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It builds character.
I was gonna say it builds character and it builds mustache. Yeah.
Right.
Thank God it just cuts off, so you can't really tell. But
I'm just builds muscle.
Right. It usually works your forearms more than your biceps and triceps, and
depends on if you're like elbow driving.
Unless you're just like, oh man.
It hurts your wrist because you're like putting the tension in. Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah. I would say if you're really good at kneading, you're really good at massaging, because that was a lot, you know, when I went to school for that kind of thing. Like, it was a lot of basically like, oh, you're kneading bread. And I'm like, okay, this is not very different from what I know. Like, this is great.
Watch, that might be your hidden talent, making bread.
I've never tried.
You should.
I
You have
don't know where to
Oh.
find yeast.
any
Girl,
grocery
I'm
store
special, okay? I don't
You
even
can
know
get it.
where.
It's
Like,
in the packets.
packet.
It's just in the packets. It's like instant yeast.
go
With
to
my
the
lambas bread
baking aisle.
recipe, you don't need yeast.
wait, for the
So
lembas
you
bread,
can try
yes, you
that
do
first.
not. Ooh.
Yeah, so try that first and like, but then yeah, you can buy the packets of yeast at it's like instant.
It's a very
Literally
chill
just-
ingredient. It just sounds scary.
It
Yeah.
does. It
Yeah.
really does. I don't know. Maybe because I'm a girl and being raised with certain words, it's like, I'm trying not to say the thing about the things that can happen in your nether regions. Look, that's why I
Honey, where
never
do you
liked the
think they
word
got-
yeast, because I
Where
was
do you
so
think they
scared.
got the original from?
Are you saying that the yeast from baking is from?
No, I'm saying, where do you think most bread? Wow. Okay.
Okay, maybe she's not ready to make bread.
Okay.
She might not be ready to make bread.
I'll start with lambas. I'll start with lambas.
Start with an unleavened bread, as in a bread that does not require yeast. Just saying.
I'll start with lambas. Oh my god.
Start with, yeah, like a lambus or a soda bread, or just a non-yeasted bread.
Sorry,
You're
Q. I know you're
That
here.
was funny.
The original yeast that they got for bread usually came from the human body, or the fact that people, when they would, you collect your grains and whatnot, and you grind your grains, well, you're hot and perspiring, so that natural wild yeast that is either on yourself or in your bread is going to get mixed in there, and you're going to let it set for a while, and then it begins that fermentation. So yeah, sourdough bread has been going on for thousands of years, not just like a couple hundred years. Fermentation was how you were able to continue to eat things after they had spoiled. It's controlled spoilage, basically. Yeah. Trust me, you don't want to
Kimchi
do.
does the same thing. Kimchi
Yeah.
is just rotting, spoiled cabbage, but
Yeah.
we put it in the ground and we're like, it's fine.
Right. Did how many dirty a sock or clothing hamper or bedroll was where they often stored their starter, and yeah, just personal
She's never gonna
yeast.
make bread ever now. She's just like, I hate all of this.
But no, the stuff that's grown for bread specifically, the stuff that you get in the bread aisle, that is lab created. That is like, they take good purified yeast and they make sure that it is grown with no other additives in it. That's the yeast that you're using to cook with now. Trust me, we've
Still
come a long
bacteria.
way.
It's
Yeah.
still just a bag of bacteria.
Yeah. Yeah, we're used to it.
And nothing. Yeah, I have had a basic knowledge of cooking. Like, I was perfectly capable of taking care of myself. I didn't really do anything fancy, but I knew, like, how to make pasta, how to cook chicken without murdering people. Yeah, got like your basic stuff. It's harder than you think it is. Um, but a couple of things happened. The first one was that I'm primarily an artist, and when the pandemic happened, I lost my whole life. I just lost everything. and I was super, super depressed. And I just kind of needed a way to learn a new skill and express myself creatively. And savory food is really great with that because you can like play around with it. You can like try different things. You can learn about different cultures. You can do all these things. So that just really like keyed in for me. Um, and that really helped me get through a lot of this. And then the other thing that happened was that my partner, who I'd been dating for about a month when everything shut down, we accidentally got quarantined together. So we lived together 24/7 for a month and a half after only dating for a month because New York was in the like Brooklyn's running out of body bag stage of the pandemic. So like people were not going anywhere. And he's a baker. And so we were just navigating all of these crazy things. And so like cooking and baking became this thing that we could do for each other that was very like not about where our relationship was or not about how we were navigating living together and working at home. So we both just kind of developed through that, which is why like I love cooking for other people. Like cooking for him. But I think the main growth has really just been like understanding how cooking works versus just being like, I'm gonna make a thing and understanding like, oh, okay, I'm gonna let this set for 20 minutes and this is why, and this is what it's gonna achieve, and this is why it's important. And oh, I don't have time for that, so I'm gonna go around it. I'm the opposite of everyone else. I don't own an Instapot. I hate putting things in the oven or like in an Instapot and being like, well, it's in God's hands now. I don't know. I hate that. I have to have control over what the consistency of my food is, over the temperature that my food is. I don't like it. I had to make a pot roast for Passover. It was very stressful. I had to just like leave it in the oven for 6 hours and be like, I guess it's fine. Yeah, so I'm very much about like the little detail work and like snipping and adding flavors as I go and developing sauces. Gotten very into sauces.
A sauce can save or break a dish.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
No. Oh,
oof. He's like, don't worry, I've got a cheese grater and a salt lick here. Well, it's salt.
salt.
And kind of what it does.
I will say a big thing that I also learned over quarantine that I think a lot of people are learning is that now I almost never use table salt because I've learned how to salt my food as it cooks. What a novel concept. What?
Well, and if you need a decent substitute for salt, fish sauce. Fish sauce gives you that kind of salty, savory, umami flavor that you're really looking for, and you don't really have to add that much of it. So, yeah, it's salt and flavor without having to add quite so much salt. There's still salt in it, but it's a little less. Oh.
No.
All right, so thanks, Q, for
No.
letting me know that you can't hear me. So now we are using my Logitech. It's a Logitech all the time. Not sponsored. Please sponsor me.
Salt burns her as if she
Apparently.
is some sort of witch who has stepped onto hollow ground.
Okay, I talk about salt and then my microphone craps, and I'm like, oh, salt hates me. Okay, moving on. But
No, you
Q,
insulted the salt.
I
You
insulted the salt,
the
therefore
most important ingredient.
You
my technology
insulted
doesn't
the
want to work.
salt?
But Q said the first time I made my baked breakfast omelet, I was scared, and let's say it was okay because I was worried about being about it being burnt. I used about 6 eggs scrambled and bacon bits and chopped up ham in a deep baking pan and preheated at 300 for 30 minutes and then baked it for 30 minutes. And it was good, and my girlfriend loved it.
Mhm.
That sounds magical.
That sounds so good.
That sounds so good.
Now,
But
they're frittata. It sounds a little bit like a frittata. Frittatas, you get to scramble up a bunch of eggs and you throw a bunch of stuff in it, and then you bake it for a long time. So yes. That sounds like such a good frittata. Love it. Yes.
But Rachel, you did mention about a hack, something that you learned. So now is the time to start sharing the secrets. So people listening and watching, I know you got secrets and I want them. But anyways, let's start with the group. Let's start with the guests and the peoples. But please leave them in the comments. Just be like, "This is my secret." Shh. Even though everybody can see it. I'm just saying, bring your secrets to public ear, eye, mouth. I'm gonna stop talking. So, Jordyn, tell us something that you've learned. What are your hacks and your tricks from that you've learned like during the pandemic? Because that one we could go on and on about before 4 times knowledge, but
Yeah. Geez. So I haven't been cooking that. I think one of the things that I found out, my mom makes really good spaghetti. You know, everybody's mom makes the best spaghetti, right? My mom literally makes the best spaghetti. So what I would do is I learned how to do sort of like a there's this wonderful restaurant in like mid city here in LA, and it's called Uovo, and it's an Italian restaurant, and they make everything's imported from Italy, and that's what I loved about this place. And so I wanted to kind of mimic that. So I got some pasta. Anyway, I made my own red sauce, and it's like a bolognese sauce. So I got like a pomodoro base, and then I cook with bison a lot. It's a lean,
Ooh.
and it's better than my mom cooks with turkey. I don't mind ground beef at all. Bison just is better. I love it. It's delicious. And so I get ground bison and we'll, brown it, and then in the sauce, and I didn't know this a lot, but apparently you put sugar in red sauce to bring down the acidity. And I didn't know that at the time. And so every time I would eat my mom's spaghetti, I was just like, it's so good, right? Like as a kid, and you're like, well, duh, as a kid, you like sweet stuff, right? And so I didn't realize that it was sugar until she goes, no, you have to put sugar in your red sauce. Otherwise it's going to taste weird and you have to put other things. So I was like, what? And so like I did it, and I was like my eyes, like my pupe, like just like it was just, oh
Mind
my gosh.
blown.
And so I think like a lot of people like skip out on the sweet, if they don't know. And so I think that's a good little hack that I sort of learned, is to kind of just put a little sugar in red sauce if you're like making it at home. It just helps to bring down the acidity, especially like for me, like because I have like acid reflux, and so bringing down the acidity is really helpful. And putting sugar in your red sauce. So I guess that would be something that I learned.
oh man,
Yeah.
because I also have acid reflux, so I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
the secret is sugar.
Yeah, and it really helps. Like I could eat a whole bowl and get full, and I don't have any interactions with it. So little tip.
So good. Damn, Rachel. I know you already gave
Yeah.
us one hack, but now you got to give me another.
Oh, I've got more. I've learned so much. It's been over a year. But I'm trying to think of something that's like specific, that's like really accessible to a lot of people. I think like one of the main things that I've realized is the difference between home cooked food that I really love and home cooked food that I'm like, this is fine, is the difference. My mom is not the best cook. It's been a journey. But I noticed watching her cook that she cooks everything separately and then combines it. Whereas when I cook, I like will do things separately if they have to be, but everything ends up in the same pot if it's going to be served in the same dish, and it just like gives the flavors more time to come together. So when you're eating something like a pasta dish that has a lot of different things in it, it doesn't taste like you're eating noodles and asparagus and this other thing. You're eating one cohesive dish. So I'm a big proponent of the one pot pasta. If you're like starting out and you want something simple, you can cook the noodles separately, cook all of their toppings separately, and then don't drain your pasta. Just use some tongs to take the noodles with some of the water directly into your toppings pot, swirl it around, makes all the difference. And you will never get a noodle that you're like, oh, this tastes like a noodle. Because it'll be infused with all of the flavors.
Okay, that's called sorcery. I'm over here looking like a fool, draining my noodles and being like, "But bye pasta noodle soup. It's pasta noodle soup," and I feel sad. But
Your
now,
pasta water carries so much power.
Mm-hmm.
Use the pasta water.
all the
Yep.
power down the drain, literally. Let's see. Q also said you can use ground sausage. Back to his breakfast stitch. You can use ground sausage with it too. And he's like, "Oh, I forgot the cheese. You can put the cheese. You can put peppers in there if you want." And I'm like, "Yo, throw some spinach and artichoke in that, and I am sold. As long as I can put some tapatio on it, because eggs plus tapatio equals happy belly for me."
Mm-hmm.
But I'm one of those people who just love tapatio. Anyways,
Hey,
Raven,
good thing.
it is your turn to share your knowledge.
Do we have another 4 hours? Because
Okay, let's pick
you know
one
me.
thing
I-
that you
I-
learned in the quarantine times.
Well, okay, so I learned this one actually a little bit before quarantine times, but it's still one of my favorite tricks. If I'm going to be doing noodles, whether they're rice noodles, egg noodles, whatever, mostly rice noodles now because, gluten, hatred, murder. Anyways, as you put your fire on for your water, if you're going to have eggs with, go ahead and put 1 or 2 like room temperature eggs in your water. And as it comes up to the boil, when it boils, you throw in your pasta. You boil your pasta for however long it's got to do, usually 3-4 minutes, and then bring out your eggs, and you've got a perfectly cooked egg to go along with your ramen or your noodles.
What the tit?
Yep. Every time.
Wow.
I learned it because I was super lazy and really in a rush. And I'm like, oh, I don't have time to boil an egg, then also boil my noodles, and then put everything together. Screw it, we're putting the egg in with. So yeah, I just put the egg in with, turned on my fire. Once it got up to boil, I threw in my noodles, took everything out at once. And when I cracked my egg, it was a perfectly cooked, like practically ramen house egg. And I'm like, did I screw up and figure out something? Like, what the tits? So yeah, I tried that a couple more times, and yeah, every time I've come out with a really nice, just this side of soft-boiled egg, which is what I like. I don't like them super hard. I don't like them super soft.
Mm-hmm.
I think perfect egg every time. I'm like,
Wow.
I win.
That's sorcery.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I made ramen one time over the pandemic, and getting those eggs was so hard.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
But
Yeah.
God, I don't think I
Trip
have
over
any hacks.
cancer.
I'm gonna try that. I cook the egg with the noodle, and then
Okay, the water, yeah.
you don't drain the water, but you put the noodle with your sauces and the toppings, and then you got the egg, and it's good. I'm looking at Alex like, remember this. And sugar
Mm-hmm.
in the tomato sauce. It's great.
And then you can basically, if you wanted to, you can brine the egg afterwards.
You could do it after.
Yeah, so you can throw your egg into a brining solution afterwards if you want to like soak them for like a day or two in your fridge.
Mm-hmm.
So like some people like really like pickled eggs or just seasoned eggs, but you don't want to have to cook one egg at a time every time. Do a couple of eggs, take the ones that you aren't using, de-shell them, and then let them sit in a nice brine for a couple days, and it picks up all the flavors without having to sit there for months on end.
Man,
Things that
sorcery
I
up in
figure
this
out
biz.
because I'm bored, lazy, or just really curious?
Oh man, yeah. Wow, wow. This is from Q. Wow, that's
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
it's wonderful. It's amazing. I'm like, I know when you brine, because I made the mistake of like, oh yeah, I can just brine it for a couple hours and it'll be fine. And it's like, it's not great. It's not
No.
great. So if you want to brine, give it a few hours, like the meat, but not overnight. Not overnight. That
Not
might be
overnight.
pushing it.
Although, quick brining hack, if you don't have time and you are cooking a meat that is not that is hard to tenderize and you wanted to do it low and slow, but you don't really have time to do it low and slow, add a tiny bit of vinegar to your brine and it'll break down the muscle tissue so that when it's cooking, it gets tender faster.
Yep.
And you don't taste the vinegar.
Because vinegar cooks off. If you want it sweet, you can use pineapple juice because pineapple contains bromide, and bromide bites. It literally tries. When you eat pineapple, it's actually trying to eat you back. It
really
works, it works on protein. It literally bites back and breaks down protein. So if you want your meat a little bit sweet, add just a little bit of pineapple juice, and it gives it that slight sweetness, but also helps to break down all that protein. Makes it
All
super
the meat
tender.
sweet.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that because that's something that I learned from my mom when she makes her honey baked ham. She loves it. She's like, "You want me to make honey baked ham? I will." And but it makes sense. Like I can imagine because she always like she's like, "I'll eat this pineapple. I love pineapple," and just stabs the thing. And it's interesting that you mentioned that because I'm like, oh, what if we zhuzh it up as Raven would say, we would zhuzh it up by putting pineapple juice inside the round part, and then it would just be like delicious and stuff. And I'm like, what the titty?
Yummy.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
please. Well, gosh, like I feel like we just started, but it's already 7:56,
Oh my goodness.
10:56 for
Really?
Rachel.
Wow.
I know, right? It just
Wow.
happens, and gosh, but
That was
Okay,
quick.
but we all have to share a
right?
fail. Like, we
yes,
have to
Oh,
share a
please,
fail.
please, tell
yes.
me your fails. I mean, yeah, I can start. Like it's just every time. My favorite fail, just cooking in general, even was for foodie functions on NerdBot when we were making chicken, or yeah, something. No, wait, I don't remember. I remember making chicken wings, and I tried to make some like deep fried chicken wings, and I over fried them, and it was basically chicken jerky on a stick. And
Oh no.
I don't ever want to fry in a pot of oil ever again. I want to buy an air fryer to prevent things like this from happening. I had to take a picture because where it froze was the best face ever for
Oh
everybody.
man.
And it's just, I got it. I got it.
Oh
Also,
no.
Mr. Turnip in the background.
Oh my gosh. Hello, kitty cat. Kitty cat's like, hello, mum, feed me, please. Yes, thank you. So, mummy, kitty mummy. Yeah, cute. Honey baked ham. Oh my god. My tummy is dreaming about it now. Thanks, Steph. You're welcome. 4th of July is in a couple of months.
Right.
Oh no.
Oh
It's
man.
good. It's good. You try. But Rachel, tell us a fail story of yours.
Oh God. So I think the worst thing that I did was try to substitute certain kitchen supplies for other kitchen supplies. Work. I needed it too. I had this whole plan. I was gonna make like a steamed veggie thing, and I was gonna do all this. But I needed a steamer, and I didn't have one. I had a pot, but I also had a plastic colander, and I was like, "This will work. This will definitely work."
Oh no.
Oh no.
It did not work, and about it did not work. And about 10 minutes in, my partner was like, "Do you smell burning plastic?" And I was like, "Shit!"
Oh no.
I took out a pot. I took out my colander. I took out like the pound of broccoli I had been trying to
Oh
steam.
no. Ugh.
Yeah, don't put plastic on the stove, which is not a lesson.
I'm with you. Also, don't assume that you can boil it either if you want to steam it. So it's like,
Oh,
I'm
I'm
sorry
so
that
sorry.
happened. So you had to buy a new colander.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Was
We
this
know
one metal
now.
this time?
Yes, the new one is metal.
Okay, good.
Metal.
I also now have a steamer so that I can, properly steam things. I have a normal one that you put in a pot, and I have a fancy bamboo one for dumplings.
Yes.
Oh,
I feel like I fail as an Asian person for not having one of those.
It's so cool. But yeah, don't put plastic on the stove, kids.
Now
I'm
we
so
know.
sorry.
Now we know.
Oh.
Oh my goodness. Raven, what is your fail story?
Which one?
Oh my gosh.
I always prepare for failure. But okay, so I love macaron. The little almond cookies, they're French, they're super expensive. And so I wanted to make them for myself. And I have failed all but one batch, and I cannot tell you how I got that one batch to work. But I have had everything from something the texture of wallpaper paste, pumice stone once it's baked, but wallpaper paste beforehand. I've never seemed to split the meringue, but I can never get the powdered sugar almond flour ratio or technique quite correct. So I've had things that tasted like almond cookies, but they sure as F were not. and I've had so much batter just go ugh, or other batter that refused to dry at all. So like 2 hours later, nope, my batter is still somehow wet. What the hell? And baking it didn't do it any favors. Like, could not get a single one that wasn't browned. And if it wasn't browned, it was stuck to the parchment, refusing to let go. And I'm like, fine, I'll give it 2 more minutes. Nope, somehow burnt. Like, what the I cannot win with macarons. And I love them. And I really, really want to be able to make them. But I have never gotten them to taste right. Edible, but not taste right. Or even cook right. Just no.
Do you make your own flour?
I have bought flour. I have toasted flour. I have bought blanched almonds and toasted them. I have made my own flour. I have failed so many times at macarons. Just I don't know what it is, and I'm going to continue to try and make them. But yeah, pretty much macarons are like no.
Oh no.
No, you no make us. I'm
Oh
like,
no. No, I'm sorry that happened to you. And I hope you find the right. I hope you
50th
find your
time is
answer.
is the key, right?
Oh my god.
I have literally made macarons at least a dozen times.
Oh my
Literally, I
gosh.
only had one of those batches go right.
Mm. There was so much science to those. Like, and now I know why they're expensive.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And truth be told, even in some of those stores, like they make bad batches every once in a while.
I've had some pretty bad macarons, like store bought from a place, and they were horrendous.
Ugh.
The worst one, and I'm not going to name the place because that would just be mean and cruel, and it's not like they kept doing the same bad batches over and over again. But got it, bit into it. The cookie itself was firm enough that I thought I had broken a tooth for a moment. The filling inside, which was supposed to be a lavender buttercream, was just pretty much a solid pat of shortening with almond oil extract in the middle of it. So yeah, biting down on that and feeling like I've licked the inside of my grandmother's perfume bottle. Couldn't taste my coffee after that. That's how strong that shit is. But yeah, it was bad. It was really bad. It was super bad. And the other one, I think it was supposed to be blueberry flavored, but damned if I could tell you because, again, super crunchy, not in a good way. Like it 4 days stale before they even decided to put the fucking filling in there. Pardon the swearing. And then just like it's like they had gone, oh, I know, vegetable shortening around a single blueberry. That's a filling, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
If it makes you feel any better, my partner is currently making cinnamon roll dough, and he didn't realize we didn't have yeast, so he's now booking it to the grocery store before the show comes.
Oh,
A live fail story.
live. No, I'm talking
when you
live.
forget the
Live.
yeast. The yeast. Well, at least I've never mistaken salt for sugar. I've known people who've done that.
Yes. Oh my gosh, we were talking about that the very first Nom Talk Live. That was fun.
How? Just they're two very differently sized containers.
Yeah, and it seems like for those that like to use reusable product, label it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Jordyn, what
Well,
about you?
that's a great segue into my story because that's exactly what I did.
Oh no!
Except it wasn't salt. So we had just gotten these new clear containers that have like airproof. They have airproof tops because we sometimes, I don't know if you have this in like with rice or with grains, but we get these little like brown bugs. And so we have to get airtight containers, and now we're fine and there's no bugs. Anyway, so we put sugar, confectioner sugar, flour, and something else that's fairly white in these things. Well, they weren't labeled. So one time I was cooking a beef stroganoff recipe, and it was a re-Drummond one, and I was cooking it in a cast iron skillet. To be fair, I was kind of in a hurry. I shouldn't have been in a hurry. I wasn't in a hurry. I just was scatterbrained. I thought the confectioner sugar was flour. So I had to make a roux, and I put the beef stock in a cup and put the confectioner sugar instead of the flour in the cup, mixed it, and it wasn't getting thick, so it was pissing me off. So I put more of the confectioner sugar in there, mixed it, and I was like, you know what? So then I just put a freaking whole cup when I'm only supposed to put 2 tablespoons of flour, which is now the confectioner sugar, in there. So I'm like, you know what? Whatever. So I just put it in there. So then it turns out fine. It takes a while to get sticky. So I serve my parents, and then I serve myself. My parents don't say anything to me.
Oh no!
I eat it, and I'm like, this literally tastes like meat with a candy paste. That's what it tastes like. It tasted like savory meat with candy paste. When I say I literally was so embarrassed, I didn't even eat. I threw everything away, came in my room, and made a TikTok about it because I was so mad. I was so mad.
Oh my
And
God.
let me tell you something. After that, everything in that freaking pantry is labeled with a removable label and everything. That was literally the worst cooking fail I have ever done.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry.
And then now I can laugh.
How did you not, after like you've clearly made a roux before, like after it didn't work with a couple of tablespoons, how did you not go something?
Wow.
It was my second time making it, and I was like, is the flour spoiled? Like, I don't know. And I just didn't don't know. I don't know what was going through my head.
Oh
I was in a hurry.
no.
I was very disheveled. Yeah, it was basically a
Oh no.
dessert and dinner all in one. So
Oh my god.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie, I
Oh,
did
I'm
mess
so
up.
sorry.
Oh my gosh. I have a story. Sort of. So, for those of you that watch our YouTube channel, I did a video of how to make sea salt ice cream inspired by Kingdom Hearts. I put too much sea salt in there. I also had trouble because there was a point where it's like you have to cook or heat up the milk and then mix it into the egg. And I was like, okay, but I don't want it to boil because if it boils, it could cook the egg.
uh-oh.
Uh, it smelled like ramen as I was mixing it. So the part where I'm like mixing the thing in with the eggs, you can't see it because I intentionally cropped my face out. But I was like, it smells like ramen. I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. So behind the scenes, that was actually a very bad outcome. But I did make notes on the video like, hey, don't do this, be careful with this, blah 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 blah. But I was like,
Oh my god.
it wasn't bad. And that's why when we tried it, I genuinely did think it tasted like a cake. So it wasn't horrible, but it was not right.
It didn't suck.
It didn't suck, but I know it was wrong.
Oh no.
So I don't know. That's why I'm like, if you tried it, let me know what you think. Because I'm like, I did not
Oh
do
my-
it right.
Okay, so you were tempering your egg.
Apparently, yes.
Yeah.
So
You gotta do that slow and not boiling.
I know. It was too warm. Well, I also used almond milk, so I think the temperature from it because I don't drink milk.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that quite so loud.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Almond milk plus egg is why it smelled like ramen.
Exactly. So now I know.
Look.
And that's what I said in the video. I was like, so I used almond milk, but I'm sure that's why the consistency is a little different. But if you use regular milk, it'll probably come out correctly.
That's like, I feel like that's something everyone is struggling with of like, I need to do this dietary substitution, but the chemical compounds are just not in my favor.
So now I'm
because-
curious, like if I'm going to be using almond milk or a different type of milk, is it going to be different if I instead of using egg, use something else? So it's, it's a whole process. Like if you want to make a sorbet kind of thing, easy peasy lemon squeezy, you're going to have fun and it's going to be great. But
Yeah.
I do not have I don't know what to do. But it was one of those moments and now I know better. I'm going to just buy ice cream. That's what I learned.
Can you do coconut?
Milk?
Yeah.
Don't think so. I don't know.
As in, are you allergic to coconut?
No, yeah, I don't think so and I don't know, but I can't say for sure.
Okay.
'Cause-
Coconut milk is a good substitution that's non-animal that is
that's
used
true.
in a lot of Asian styled ice creams.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to have a big old cow to get it. It's it's coconut milk and you put it in and you just do it like you'd normally would any other ice cream for the most part. I don't even think you have to add eggs. So
Or just buy ice cream because there are certain foods that it's not worth the effort. It's just not
it's always worth the effort.
No,
You
it's
can
not.
know.
I made dulce de leche from scratch one time. One.
That's not a fair comparison.
The end.
I
I'll
know.
never do it again.
That sounds so much more advanced than what I was trying to do.
Dulce de leche is so hard.
Oh,
So long.
Oh man, I've curdled a couple of cans. I can't do. It's like trying to make caramel, and the next thing I know, I'm like, yeah, oh that curdled, that is not. Oh, that looks like tapioca pudding. Nope, that's not going in my mouth. No.
And your stove's on fire and your wrist is broken and you're just like, none of this is good.
oh. But I guess on that note, we are wrapping up.
Right, just put a birthday candle under it. That's the only way to do it. Low and super slow.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
One
that's so-
tablespoon at a time.
But Look, I'm just excited that once everything is safer, once the places are safer and I can go and explore the food, I'm gonna eat the shit out of macarons and ice cream.
Oh, right?
And Korean
Mhm.
barbecue.
Mm,
Magical. Speaking of
yeah.
Korean barbecue. But yes, it is we've gone a little over, but that's okay. I think we had a lot of fun. It was definitely very insightful, and I feel like I
Mhm.
did learn a lot.
Oh,
Like sugar and egg noodles, and don't pour the noodles soup out. Noodle broth.
You learned so much.
I learned so much. And I hope those watching and listening, I hope you also learned so much. Very much. All the muches. The muchness. But
The munches. It's a munch of a munchness.
y'all anyway.
Mama.
Did you just say llama?
Focus Fox. Llama. Fox. Llama.
Oh my
Fox,
god, Rachel,
llama.
that's so good.
It's
So focus.
11:15.
Fox. 11. I'm a llama, 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 llama,
Llama,
llama.
llama.
I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, it sounds like it's Rachel's bedtime. We're a little past Rachel's bedtime. Her cat has been yelling at her. It's time to go to sleep, my dear. But before we let you go to bed, tell us where we can find you. Tell us when your show is going to be viewable.
Yes. So all of my handles for ease are at Rachel Layson, my name, because I don't believe in complicating things. And my show, Blood on My Mother's Apron, will be going up off Broadway. We're opening on September 15th. So if you're in LA, that doesn't really apply to you. But if you happen to be in New York,
what?
check us out. It's gonna be great. And hopefully we're also gonna try and get it professionally filmed and on like a live stream Broadway HD service. So we're hoping for that. So
Yay.
fingers crossed that that's gonna happen.
Fingers crossed, because that means we can watch it. Yes. So excited. Well, congratulations on the
Thank you.
announcement for the Off-Broadway show to happen in September. I'm really excited for you. Break a leg. Have fun.
Both of them.
We're not done yet, so the next... Oh yeah, you better show me that shame face. But much love to you, Rachel.
Oh,
No one's qualified to be live right now.
wow.
We're not done yet. Jordyn, what about you? Where can we find you and do the things?
So it's Jordyn Daniel Roscoe on Facebook, with Jordyn with a Y. I am City of Stars 13 on Instagram. And yeah, you can just find me there and on Tidbits on Nom Talk Network with Stephanie and everybody. So it's good to see you all. I'm so happy to do stuff like this and to share my fails. It's great.
Yes.
Yay!
Yeah.
I want an episode of just fail stories. And it'll be a marathon, a 2-hour marathon. Oh my gosh. Raven, where can we find you, dear?
So, if you're looking for me, Dame Red Bento, DameRedBento. Go ahead, just type that in. You'll find me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, a bunch of different stuff. I'm ramping up to do some new stuff and whatnot. So I can't wait to see everybody there. Feel free to contact me. Yay!
Yay! And then you can find me here on my Instagram at Stephanie Sandmeyer. You can find me on Nom Talk. Seriously, the Instagrams, the Facebooks, the YouTubes. I respond to these, and I am the one you are speaking to. But just don't abuse the email.
Namalamas. Namalamas.
Y'all, hold up. Okay, now you are all for viewable. It's been a great night. We learned a lot of things.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, Llama, 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 llama.
Nom, 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 nom.
So thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Jordyn. Thank you, Raven. I am Stephanie. Thank you all for watching and listening. Tune in. Tune in on Saturday. We are moving basic brunches to Saturdays now. So it's the same time, but it's on Saturday instead of Sunday because Mother's Day. All the holidays are on Sunday, so it's like give people some
Right.
time to have fun. But yes, thank you so much. Have a great evening, and we will see you soon. Okay, bye.
Boy.